Welcome back to Whisky Whims with me, Stuart. Today we've got a Macallan, or the Macallan. Actually, it just says on the bottle from Macallan Distillery. It's bottled by Gordon MacPhail, distilled in 2005, bottled in 2019. So it could be 14-year-old, but I'm going to go on the pessimistic or the more realistic side and say 13-year-old because we don't know what month it was distilled and bottled in. So possibly 14, but I'm going to say 13. £80 per bottle when it first came out. Some sites are selling it for about £150, some are trying to sell it for about £300, which is a bit ludicrous. But yeah, £80 when it first came out. This is my second Macallan to feature on the channel, and I do have another two. So the first Macallan was just the one in the blue box, the gold or something, which I didn't rate. But I do have another three now, another three independent bottles. This will be four, so four including this. I've got one from Signatory, one from Little Brown Dog, and also one from Dramful. We've got this anyway to look towards. It's 43% ABV. Doesn't state anything about chill filtration or natural colouring, and it also comes in a little sleeve, kind of cylindrical sleeve with an open window at the front and the back to see the bottle and the details. So yeah, we'll get down to the nose, the palate and the finish, and we'll see if it's a Whisky Win or a Whisky Bin. So the nose, yeah, I'm getting like butterscotch. It's quite creamy. There's maybe like some kind of green apples there. It's quite a fresh dram. I think it's quite typically Speyside as well on the nose. There's possibly some, maybe something like, I don't know, I've not written any notes for this by the way, but it's very sweet. It's a little thin on the nose. The butterscotch and the apple are particularly strong, but after that, it's just like a kind of vague, sweety creaminess. There's maybe some like kind of pastry, like a flaky pastry. Yeah, I think that's all I'm really getting on the nose, a kind of flaky pastry, maybe like a custard slice, if you will, but not like a stodgy one, not like a thick one, like a quite fluffy, sorry the cat's attacking me, quite a fluffy, flaky pastry. Yeah, it's actually not bad on nose. There is actually a little bit of I just got it there when I was, no, don't play with the microphone, just sit over here. Where's your basket? Someone put it away. There was a little bit of an alcoholic nip to the nose, a little tinge, just a little bit, but no, I would say from the nose, is it evident that it's Macallan? I'm not sure because I don't drink enough Macallan to say that, but it's definitely evident that it's a Speyside. It's fresh, it's fruity, creamy, and it's pleasant in the nose. There's nothing off-putting there at all. The palate, once again, I'm not sure if because of the 43% ABV and maybe tricking my mind, but it's quite thin. Definitely creamy, once again, 100% creamy. There's a little bit of a pepperiness to it. I want to say like a kind of pear creamy, like a creamy pear element. I don't know what that would be or what shape that would take. It would be pear shape, obviously. But I'm thinking of these, I think I mentioned them before, you get them in like kind of cheap shops, like somewhere like Farm Foods or something, but they're oranges and different fruits that have got like a kind of creamy, iced cream, almost like an ice cream filling. I don't know if it's sorbet or if it's just like a creamy, milky frozen yogurt or something with a kind of flavour. But I'm sure they do if they do a pear version of that, it's that. I don't know how else to describe it. I'm sure you've had them. They come in little daft plastic wrappers, and it's the oranges and that have been hollowed out, and they've put in this kind of ice cream instead, and they've left the oranges, the sliced top of the oranges like a little lid. So you bring it out of the freezer, you take off the little lid, and you scoop into the sweetie, lovely goodness. So yeah, I'm getting that. Quite specific. So peppery for sure, that kind of creaminess with the pear, a little thin. It's actually a little herbaceous as well. Like there is a little bit of, or maybe more like, yeah, maybe like vegetal or herbaceous. That it's weird. I know Speyside and Highland are quite like basically the same area in terms of like, stop playing with the microphone. But it's like more of a Highland, I would say, in the palate, with this kind of peppery spiciness and this vegetal, almost earthiness about it. Do you know what? It is a little savoury. It could be like, is it samphire? But not as salty as samphire. I'm sure it's called samphire, unless I'm just making myself look like a fool. But there's something that is vegetal. It's not like broccoli. I'm trying to think what it could be. It could be something more subtle, like green beans or something like that. But there's something weird there, or should I say intriguing, rather than weird. Other than that, maybe just a little bit of an alcoholic. I don't know if there's any more of the sweetness from the nose. If there's any more butterscotch. I don't think there is in the palate. I think that's just reserved for the nose. As you can tell, this is obviously all off the cuff. I've not written any notes for this one. The finish is long. Sorry, I was just checking on the cat. The finish is actually medium to long, sorry. But surprisingly, at the 43%, I thought it would be almost fleeting. I thought it would be almost non-existent. But it's definitely got a length to it. There's orange peel, a little bit of a zestiness coming through, a little bit of a sweetness. It's also, once again, still quite peppery. The palate was peppery, the finish is peppery. So it kind of throws you off that Speyside and even Macallan. I don't know if I've experienced pepperiness in Macallan before, or maybe I've just not exposed myself to enough Macallan to get that. So yeah, a peppery again in the finish to go along with the palate. There's an orange zest, orange peel as well in the finish. It's medium to long. Sorry, the cat's just jumping about. I don't know if there's any creaminess in the finish, because there was creaminess in the nose, creaminess in the palate. But no, I think that's all I'm getting. This is a Torag. This is like, I should have just done this in the garage. So yeah, we'll get down to my rating. And how I rate my whiskies, if you're new here, is I rate them on 3 factors. Would I buy it again? Do I think it's worth it? And would I recommend it? So I didn't buy this in the first place, but would I buy it again? No. I don't think it's a good example of Macallan, or at least, I don't know, because I've not tried a lot of Macallan, but it's not that great a whiskey. And I'm glad I'm in the same mindset, because I'd opened this with Stevie and my dad. I think my dad was there. That'd be very rude if I didn't open it with him. But we didn't really enjoy it that much. It's just, I don't know, it's a lot of money for what it is as well, a 43%, or I think it's just because it's Macallan, it's got that price tag. So I wouldn't buy it again, I wouldn't go out and buy one. And I've already mentioned that £80, do I think it's worth it? I really don't. 43% is a bit lacking for an £80 whiskey. You should at least get 46%, or I feel. Or at least it should be, if it is going to be 43% and £80, it's going to have something to show for it in the whiskey. whereas this just doesn't. I feel like it might have been benefited. Sorry, the cat and the dog are going mad. It might have benefited from a higher ABV, maybe cask strength, or maybe just 46%. It maybe have just benefited that a little bit punchier, because it is thin in the nose and it is thin in the palate. But it's an easy drinker. It's quite intriguing from the nose being that kind of sweet, playful Speyside, if you will, to the palate and finish being quite a harsh, rough Highland. So it is quite intriguing, and it's not a bad whiskey. It's one that you could just pour and drink, but for that price, I would be expecting, if it was like a whiskey that I was wanting just to pour, drink, shut off to, and get this similar profile to, then I would say it's a supermarket whiskey that should be like £40-30, or somewhere like between that price range rather than £80. But because it's Macallan, you're playing a little bit more premium. Would I recommend it? Yeah, I try never to give a whiskey a 0 out of 3. I believe it's only happened twice. And in the case of this, I probably would recommend it. Just see what other people think of it, see what Macallan enthusiasts think of it. I think it'd be one to try, one to maybe throw people off on like a blind tasting, because it does kind of throw you a little bit, or I feel it does, on the nose and the palate. So it's 1 out of 3. Before the cat comes up and starts doing more gymnastics in front of you, it's 1 out of 3. Here it is, which is a whiskey bin. Unfortunately, in this case, and you're going to just have to come away from the cable. So yeah, it's a whiskey bin. Not entirely a bad whiskey, but way too expensive. And yeah, just a little lackluster. So that's all I've got to say in this one. I've been Stuart. This has been Whisky Win. I'll see you later.